A little later he added, "You know, when a person is really, really sad, they like watching sunsets. And were you very, very sad when you watched 44 sunsets?" But the little prince did not reply. On the fifth day, I stumbled upon another of Little Prince's secrets. Again, thanks to the lamb. He suddenly came up with a question that he's been mulling it over for a long time. If plant eats shrubs, does it also eat flowers? A lamb eats everything it comes across. Even plants with thorns? Yes, even plants with thorns. So what use are thorns? Had no idea. I was busy trying to undo a bolt in the engine as I realized the damage might be very serious, and my drinking water was running out. I feared the worst.
Well, I was miles and miles from any living sound and with my life in danger, but I was so baffled that I immediately prepared to do as asked. I took a pen and paper out of my pocket, and then I remembered that they had mostly studied geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar, and I told the little fellow, somewhat irritably, that I couldn't draw, and he replied, "It doesn't matter, draw me a little lamb." As I had never done a picture of lamb, I presented him one of only two drawings I could do, the bow constructed from outside. And I was astounded to hear the little fellow say, "No, no, I don't want an elephant inside the bow. The bow is too dangerous. An elephant takes up too much room. My place is tiny. I need a lamb. Draw me a little lamb." So I drew.
And so I learned something else of great importance, that the place he came from was barely bigger than a house. I shouldn't have been that surprised. I knew very well that apart from the big planets like Earth, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, which have names, there are hundreds of others. They are sometimes so small that you can only see them through a telescope. When an astronomer discovers a new one, he gives it a number for a name. He calls it asteroid 325, for example. I have a very good reason to believe that the Little Prince's planet was asteroid B612. This asteroid has only been glimpsed once through a telescope, and that was by a Turkish astronomer in 1909. He gave an impressive presentation at the Astronomy International Conference, but nobody believed him because of his clothes. That is how grown-ups are.
In the same way, if you'd save them. The little prince really did exist. He was delightful and full of laughter, and he asked for a little lamb. Only a real life person could want a lamb. They shrugged their shoulders and treat you like a child. But if you say, "The planet he came from is asteroid B612, then they take you seriously and leave you in peace. That's just how they are. You mustn't hold it against them. Children should be very patient with grown-ups. But people who understand life aren't bothered about numbers. I wish I could have begun the story like a fairy tale. I wish I could have written, "Once upon a time there was a little prince. He lived on a planet not much bigger than himself, and was in need of a friend." People who understand life would have found that much more natural.
I pointed out that baobabs are not shrubs, but giant trees, as big as churches, and that a whole herd of elephants wouldn't be able to demolish even one baobab. The idea of a herd of elephants made the little prince laugh. They'd have to stand on top of each other. But before baobabs grow tall, they start off small. He had become serious again. "That's very true. But why do you want your little lamb to eat the baby baobabs?" he replied. What a silly question, as if it were obvious, and I had to rack my brains to get the answers for myself.
I showed my masterpiece to the grown-ups and asked if they found it scary. They answered, "What's scary about a hat?" But my drawing was not a hat. It was a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. So then, I drew the inside of the boa to help the grown-ups understand. They always need explanations. The grown-ups told me to forget about drawing elephants inside boa constrictors and to concentrate instead on geography, history, arithmetics, and grammar. Seeing as my drawing number 1 and my drawing number 2 had been such a disaster, I gave up on a glorious career as an artist. Grown-ups never understand anything on their own, and it's a nuisance to the children because they have to keep explaining things over and over again.
But again, he turned it down. That one's too old. I want a lamp that will live for a long time. I was in a hurry. I had to start stripping down the engine. My patience was wearing thin. So I hastily sketched this. And I said, "That's the crate. The lamp you want is inside." And I was amazed to see my critic's face light up. That's exactly what I wanted. Do you think this lamp will need a lot of grass? Why? Because my place is tiny. I'm sure there'll be enough. I've given you a very little lamp. He looked more closely at the drawing. Not that little. Oh, look! He's fallen asleep. And that is how I made the acquaintance of the little prince.
It took me ages to work out where he came from. He asked me lots of questions but never seemed to hear mine. I gradually pieced history from all things he said. For instance, when he first cut sides of my plane, I shan't drop it. I can't drop anything that's complicated. He asked me, "What's that thing?" "It's not the thing. It flies. It's a plane. It's my plane." And I was proud to tell him that I was a pilot and I flew planes. Then he exclaims, "What? You fell out of the sky?" "Yes," I replied modestly. "Oh, that's funny."
Luckily for asteroid B612, a Turkish dictator made his people dress European style on pain of death. Wearing a very elegant suit, the astronomer gave his presentation again in 1920, and this time everyone was convinced. The reason I've told you all this about asteroid B612 and given you its number is because of grown-ups. Grown-ups love numbers. If you tell a grown-up about a new friend, they never ask the important questions. They never say, what does his voice sound like? What are his favorite games? Does he collect butterflies? They ask, how old is he? How many brothers and sisters does he have? What does he weigh? How much does his father earn? Only then do they feel like they know him. If you tell a grown-up, I saw a beautiful pink brick house with geraniums on the windowsills and doves on the roof, they can't picture it. You have to say, I saw a house worth $1 million. Only then do they marvel. What a lovely house.
In the same way, if you say to them, "The little prince really did exist. He was delightful and full of laughter, and he asked for a little lamb." Only a real-life person could want a lamb. They shrug their shoulders and greet you like a child. But if you say, "The planet he came from is asteroid B612, then they take you seriously and leave you in peace. That is just how they are. You mustn't hold it against them. Children should be very patient with grown-ups. People who understand life are not worried about numbers. I wish I could have written the story more like a fairy tale. I wish I could have written, "Once upon a time there was a little prince. He lived on a planet not much bigger than himself and was in need of a friend." People who understand life would have found this much more natural.
The little prince gave a tinkling laugh. I found it extremely annoying. I expect people to take my trouble seriously. Then he added, "So, you came out of the sky too. What planet are you from?" It suddenly dawned on me that he was giving me an important clue as to his mysterious appearance. I asked, "You're from another planet, aren't you?" But he did not reply. Still staring at my plane, he shook his head. "Of course, you can't have come from very far in that thing." He stood lost in thought for a while. Then, taking my lamp out of his pocket, he examined his treasure. You can imagine how intrigued I was by his allusion to other planets. So I tried to find out more. "Where do you come from, little man? Where's your place? Where do you want to take my lamp?" He pondered for a while and then replied, "The good thing about the crate is that at night it can be his house.
Exactly, and if you behave, I'll give you a rope to tie him up during the day and a stake.
Mažas prinkas tyliai skraidė virš žvaigždžių. Galvojo apie rožę savo širdies laukų. Kiekvienam žingsnį vedė jo švelnios mintys. Visata tokia plati, bet jis vienam kely.
Rožės kvapas jam sapnus nudažė ryškiai. Jis jai šypsojosi, pievų pilna tyla. Atrodo viską turėjo, bet ilgėtis nenuilsta. Gal tik supras viską, kai vėjas pūs pro šalį.
Rožė ta mano šviesa, visą pasaulį laikau dėl jos ranka. Net jeigu dykuma čia po kojomis pila, rožė mano širdį gyvens visada.
Kasdien skaičiavo sekundės ir akimirkas, žvaigždžių šokiais stebėjo, galvodamas apie jau. Ji lyg ugnis, kuri nebijo likimo vėtrų, atidavė visą širdį, kokia bebūtų kaina.
Bet kas jei rožė nelaukia manęs, kas jei vėjas nuplėšė jos gražų šalį. Tiek svajonių sudėjau į dalį, nepaliausiu tikėt turėdamas šį švelnumą. Rožė ta mano šviesa, visą pasaulį laikau dėl jos ranka. Net jeigu dykuma čia po kojomis pila, rožė mano širdį gyvens visada. Rožė ta mano šviesa, visą pasaulį laikau dėl jos ranka. Net jeigu dykuma čia po kojomis pila, rožė mano širdį gyvens visada. Through the stars he came so small, so bright. A golden hair that danced with light. He met a king with a hollow crown. In a world where rules could weigh you down. He grew a rose in his tiny land, with careful love and gentle hands. The only bloom on his endless plain, a treasure found in joy and pain. Across the sands and skies above, he carried hope, he carried love. Through every land, through friend and foe, the little prince would always grow. trees grow. Starry skies that drip in gold at night, neon whispers in the city's light, velvet dreams wrapped around my mind so tight. Spin me once, let's make it feel just right. Your look's a riddle I can't decode, a secret fire that's ready to explode. Every step a poem, every move a code. In this kingdom I'm ready to unload. Purple nights, electric sin, feel the thunder where we begin. Dance on clouds, let the magic spin. Hearts are racing, no one wins. You're a symphony in skin and lace, burning comets running through the space. Energy's a tidal wave embrace, no one else can match your pace. Crystal rain, it falls and binds, tying us up in threads that shine. Lose the clock, baby, let's unwind. Love's a treasure we're sure to find. Purple nights, electric sin, feel the thunder where we begin. Dance on clouds, let the magic spin. Hearts are racing, no one wins. Crystal rain, it falls and binds, tying us up in threads that shine. Lose the clock, baby, let's unwind. Love's a treasure we're sure to find. Purple nights, electric sin, feel the